This video is brought to you in part by Squarespace.
Welcome back to Mecha March Madness, and buddy, I do mean madness, because this past year has seen a whole new slew of robot clones. Some would say too many. Yes, as tired as some of you were with the third season of Sonic Prime, you knew I had to cover the army of Grim Troopers commanded by 9, an alternate reality version of Tails. Sure, they didn't make for the most interesting of enemies, all of them based off the extremely obnoxious Chaos Sonic, but at least that bot had something to say. Multiple episodes facing off against an army of mutes can overstay its welcome very quickly. Still, I love me a good robot clone, and these were clean designs, and this battle did lead us to some interesting firsts for this series. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The Grim robots were designed by none other than Nicholas Cole, an incredible artist who you've likely seen work on the likes of Crash and Spyro in recent years. Thank you for Alora, by the way, or as I call her, Dear Sally. And thankfully, he also posted some concept art of his work on Grim Sonic. Don't get me wrong, the 3D models are incredibly expressive and very clean, but Cole is a phenomenal artist, and you can't copy all of his elements one for one into the show. You're gonna miss some details, and I've been trying to track down concept art of one very specific robot for a while, so you better believe I was all over this specific piece. And looking at it a little more closely, I think we were robbed of a much cooler robot than what we get on screen. You got that cool screen face, but instead of those ridiculous high heels like we see on Chaos Sonic, this robot has plated boots, which, to be fair, is on the newer Grim Sonic, but even still, this looks much cleaner in the original art, with each plate matching up with Sonic's shoe colors. Very clever. And the quills are given a turbine look. I think that's an incredibly clever and inspired concept. The design just flows together beautifully. Chaos Sonic and Grim Sonic are solid enough designs on their own, but Cole's concept work has given me one of my favorite Metal Sonics ever created. And what's interesting, while I see obvious design cues from Metal Sonic, especially in the on-screen model when talking about Chaos, this concept art reminds me a lot of Mecha Sonic. Heavier armor, longer arms, more of a focus on combat, and the grading on the chest also gives me hints of Furnace Mecha Sonic. That's a fan concept I wasn't aware of until you guys started mentioning it in the comments of my Amalgam Mecha Sonic video. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm glad I got to discover it. It's a sick look. But speaking of Mecha Sonic and Sonic fan projects, I saw a lot of inspiration grabbed from early 2000s Flash animations in this encounter with Grim Sonic. And just to quickly explain the difference between Grim Sonic and Chaos Sonic, if you recall in Season 2, Chaos Sonic was created by Prism Energy by one of the Eggmen. It was chatty and obnoxious, but with the combined effort of Sonic and 9, they managed to take it down. Grim Sonic was created in the Grim by 9, obviously inspired by Chaos Sonic, but this one is dead silent, and some slight physical elements have been changed. It's got a bit more armor, his ears are a little bit pointier, and of course the color scheme is now completely different, being red and gold instead of the blue. I can't always tell what color it is because it's constantly in shadow, so all around it just looks darker. So for a while there I thought this was partially black, but apparently it's just the shading, but I can't help but feel like that was intentional, because I certainly didn't think this was a copy of Sonic at first. I thought this was meant to be a robot copy of Shadow. It's only after it's said in the show that I learned that this is still a robot Sonic, but it's the blue blur himself who says it kinda looks like Shadow as well as himself. Now I will talk about how strange it is that a Metal Shadow doesn't exist anywhere, but I can't help but feel like this was the closest the creators could get to a Metal Shadow. I have a feeling Sega might have some restrictions on that. So they gave us something of a Sonic and Shadow fusion in the form of a robot. The fight between this robot and its two fleshy counterparts gave me major flashbacks to, well, Flash.
No!
Flash animation specifically. I'm talking about Nazo Unleashed and Super Mario Bros. Z. And that's not unreasonable. I mean, these are animators. They grew up loving animation. I would be surprised if they weren't familiar with these projects and wanted to recreate them in some sort of fashion. This might be the closest we get to a canon Shattuck. Between this show and Scrapnik Island, early internet Sonic fans have been eating pretty good. But while it is an impressive robot and it does hold its own pretty well against Sonic and Shadow, it does eventually fail. And that is where we are introduced to the other Grims. Amy, Knuckles, Rouge, and even Birdie all get their own robot doubles. This is the first robot clone of Rouge in official Sonic media. Rouge Woman doesn't count since she's a roboticized Rouge, and Grim Rouge is pretty sick, sporting some awesome jet wings that jut out like she's a Transformers design. This is also the first time we've seen any of the Flickies get their own robot double instead of put into a badnik. But it's not the first robot Flickie in Sonic, as the Archie series had roboticized Flicky bots in their take of Sonic Blast. Since that version of Robotnik didn't really utilize animal-powered badniks, he instead turned animals into robots, and the Flicky bots have this very lazy design. How would they even fly with wings like that? They're made of metal, and salt water renders them useless. Who designed these things? Boeing? I'm topical. Also, I have to be on like 4 planes this month and I'm terrified. Anyway, Grim Birdie isn't based on just any Flicky. This is based on the giant jungle variation, and it proves to be quite a problem as it's cloned and chases Sonic to the other dimensions. And we of course have a Grim Knuckles and a Grim Amy, taking on similar designs to the other bots in their troupe and perfectly copying the abilities of their fleshy counterparts. Nothing special to say about these designs. They're exactly what you'd expect them to be, and they do look nice. There is some slight variation in the armor compared to like the Grim Sonics, but otherwise they're what you expect. The quills on Grim Amy almost match perfectly with Rusty Rose, and of course we do get a fun fight between the two. And on top of these red robot rascals, 9 also has the ability to mass produce them. The originals keep their red and gold coloring and are designated as the Alphas. Their copies get their own coloring and are known as Troopers. For whatever that's worth, I'm not sure why they bothered to make those distinctions outside of making an excuse to produce more toys with minimal effort outside of a new decal, but it is weird that the Sonic Trooper got an action figure before Grim Sonic, but whatever, I bought it anyway. I'll buy all of them. I'm the problem. As bad as one Chaos Sonic was, things get much worse with the unified front of the Grims, and obviously things get way worse when you include the army of troopers on top of that. This gives our heroes, all versions of them, a lot to handle. You can see why it took so many episodes to take them down. You just, kind of wish they had more interesting ideas outside of the same robots over and over again. But also, like I said, I still love them. Maybe they did this for me. I'm so sorry, everybody. Now, you might have noticed there's no Grim Tails. Well, that's because he already exists. The Grim is unlike any other Shadowverse we have seen so far because it doesn't have any variants of the core cast for itself. So 9, having declared this place his new home, sees himself as the Grim Tails. And these robots represent the Grim variants of their counterparts. And I do think that's really interesting just in terms of the thought process of 9. For a little while, I thought it was weird that 9 didn't bother making robot versions of Shadow or maybe even himself. We can fairly easily justify that within the fiction. Even if 9 resents Sonic and all the other variants, deep down the angry fox still sees them as friends. He arrogantly thinks he can build better versions himself, superior to the originals, but unlike the 9 we meet at the beginning of the series who wanted to be left alone, even now when he seems like he's at his absolute worst, 9 sees the need for friends. His time with Sonic has changed him. Yes, the idea is warped, and he is using these robots in an attempt to kill his old friends, but it still shows in his own weird way that there is still a heart underneath all that angry fur. Orange fur. Well, 9 is a little bit more yellow, but still, Tails is orange. Now, there is another character that has been overlooked quite a bit in this series, but he had variants all the same, and that is Big the Cat. As I was watching this 3rd season and all these robots, jokingly I thought to myself, where's Grim, Big, and Froggy? Well, overlooked as he was, the show did do something I was not expecting. When 9 is backed into a corner, he uses the power of the prism to create his most terrifying robot yet. Epic music begins to play, and an inferno of green in flames erupts, and rising up like it was summoned from hell itself comes the Grim Big. I don't think I've seen a Metal Big anywhere else in the franchise, and Prime not only gave us just that, they gave us one of the most intimidating robots ever produced in the series. Grim Big is a giant purple robot. Song's been fighting a lot of giant purple things lately, now I'm thinking about it, who enters the battlefield and causes all kinds of problems. And to top it all off, it launches Froggy missiles. Yes, even Froggy gets a Grim variant, and yes, I love it. It roars and only is finally taken down with a ton of effort, and ironically enough, 9 overlooks the value of his own variants as they take control of his own robot and use the Grim Big to help turn the tides of the battle. This is why I think it's a shame that the show will largely be remembered by the fanbase as a failure. Yeah, it's got a lot of weak moments, but they went wild with the robots, and I can't be more thankful. At the very least, we do know that Chaos Sonic and a number of the troopers have gotten action figures, and yes, I know I've said it myself, the show was made to sell toys, but hey, it worked on me. I love me some Sonic robots. No, these aren't my favorite variants of Metal Sonic and Knuckles, not even my favorite Metal Amy, but props on them for actually letting her use that robot hammer of hers. But hey, we got ourselves a kick-ass Metal Rouge, Metal Flicky, and even metal variants of Big and Froggy. I didn't think we would ever get to see those. And if, like me, you do enjoy these robot designs and you want to see a bit more of them, they do exist in game form as well. Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces have them as well. I'm genuinely happy to see more of the extended media being recognized and celebrated. So yeah, not a whole lot to say about these things, but hey, these are still interesting firsts for the Sonic brand. And yes, I know the big battle at the end did get boring. I still have seen all these robots. If I was a little kid and I saw this, I would have probably lost my mind. I always loved Sonic robots. I'm easy to please, ain't ashamed of it.
Before we wrap up for today, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Jumping online and building up your own brand was always an intimidating thing for me, but Squarespace makes that a streamlined, fast, and easy process, all while making you look good thanks to their Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design tool that lets you tweak any of their many templates with easy-to-use drag-and-drop tools. And I don't need to tell you how useful websites can be, whether you want to build up a portfolio of your work, an art gallery, or a shop, because yes, they have everything you need to run your own online business, including analytics that help show you the strongest avenues of growth and help you build up marketing strategies, which include integration with your favorite social media networks. And they can even help you set up an online shop to sell and distribute custom merch. All you have to do is design it and they'll handle production, inventory, and shipping. Really doesn't get any easier than that. And to make it just a bit easier, if you use my link, squarespace.com/gameapologist, you'll get 14 days for free, which is plenty of time to see if this is right for you. And when you want to make a purchase, that same link will get you 10% off your first order. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring the video.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and sorry to keep it so short, but we got a lot of robots to talk about this month, and we got to get right back to it. But before I go, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports me on Patreon. You can see their names scrolling across the screen if you would like to join them. It only costs you $1 and you get Discord access, and when I can manage it, early videos. I'll get some more fun stuff in there. Sorry, life's been a little bit crazy as of late. But hey, I want to give an extra special shout out to these fine folks here: Kyle Winter, Cyrus the Skeptic, Joseph Duncan Sonic 2 Blue, Josh Strider, Mecha Monroe, Trey Nobles, Hatsworth, Tiny Jericho, Ginger Bob, Jack of All Spades, Tristan Trap, Meekers, Dun Quote, Resident Fanboy, Miles the Prower, Singer J199. I gotta say, since you changed up your name, it completely throws off my flow. I'm so used to saying Jeremy Singer. But you do you. Thank you for the contribution. I'll get the hang of it. Sam Webster, Fish Flop, Lucas Lipker, The Bad Pal, Jonathan Dobbs, Chad. SP can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message after the beep. Beep. Cecil the Glade, The Dark Neon, Stefan Plakanica, 3 Monic, Graham J. Hall, Lenny X, Alex, Wayne is boss, Ledric, David 20 covers, and remember, CG forever. Kaylee Ann Williams, The Lumberjack, Trash Baphomet, Enerjack 5, Grayson Conager, Xerxes, The Renegade Jin, Ken K of Warheads, Ven 101, Paxton Bisbee, Sindarin 7, Small Bunby excited to see the buds on the trees. Twilord, I've bought the entire helium supply, have fun blowing up balloons now. Eric Delgado, Crimson Rose, Munishint, Roxas the Cat, Godzilla, Makuta of Salt, Gleam the Anomaly, Alexander Watson, Neil Gampa, Conan Kudo, Tenric Terror, the Lex the most powerful ship in the two universes, Native Nerd 27, Kaido Prower, Spearmint, Duo the Cat, Omega Man 21, Penn Adelaide, Jamie Torres Jr., Daza S, the world's most unironic 8.5 tail stand, one more Sonic Robot, slightly less evil clone SP, MT Mecha, Gob, Charles the Green Dragon, Botan, here to remind everyone that manatees are awesome, the RSI, Radiant Starlight, and OGreatGames.com. Once again, thank you all so much for your support. I cannot thank you enough, especially during these crazy times. But yeah, I want to go make some more videos for you guys, so I'm gonna get straight to it, and I'll catch you all later. Toot toot, Sonic Warriors.